This is a white shoe. This is a yellow shoe. This is the Word of God. And behind me are goats. Good morning and welcome to another episode of The Sovereign Goat Man, uncut, unedited, and straight from the heart. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about free market capitalism and precious metals and how they apply to building wealth. In the Word of God, in Genesis 13:2, oh, there we go. And Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. I know that a lot of my viewers are non-Christians, but I hope you would take the time to at least listen to this, because this also applies to you. In fact, this episode applies to all of humanity in light of what's going on with everything. Not only with the World War III brewing on the horizon, but also the economic collapse that we are now seeing. I brought this up because free market capitalism is supported, or I should say, the Word of God supports free market capitalism. In the Bible, yellow shoes and white shoes are mentioned literally hundreds of times because they are God's money. These two fit the definition of money. These are money. Everything else is garbage. This is garbage, just like this. But more on that later. So back to Genesis chapter 13, verse 2. It's a simple sentence, but if you really think about it, the ox or the cattle, some versions of the Bible, it says cattle, some ox, but the ox, in my case, the goats, they represent labor, because ox, cattle, so on and so forth, farm animals, they are working animals. So that represents the labor that you put into your work, whether you plow the fields, whether you carry something from point A to point B, that represents labor. This one here, it represents your wage. When you're paid something for your labor and you receive money, you receive it in the form of this. The other type of shoe, the yellow shoe that I call, this represents preserving your wealth, preserving the labor that you put into your work. I hope that makes sense. What's going on right now is, and this is the first time that it's ever happened on the global scale, every single fiat, every single currency is a fiat. And historically, everything that's backed by nothing will go to zero. For those of you veterans who serve, for those of you who are still in the military, always remember the oath that we took, that we will protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. The Constitution clearly states that these are to be used as money. Back in 1933, FDR confiscated this, and back in 1971, Nixon took us off this standard, and this became 100% full-blown fiat. So now what we're seeing now, that's what we're seeing, unpayable debt. We're seeing this massive hyperinflation on the horizon. We're seeing wars brewing, because every time a monetary system collapses, that's what they do. They take us to war to cover up the collapse. But at any rate, there's also a plan by the World Economic Forum to usher in central bank digital currency. I'm making this video because I want to encourage all of you that we do not have to follow the monetary system that they plan to implement. We can create our own monetary system outside of the criminal system that they want to use to enslave us. Does that make sense? Federal Reserve is a criminal organization. They can print digitally trillions of this just by saying, oh, this is just a piece of paper, but it also applies in the real world, or in the digital world, in space. They can also say, government, we will loan out to you this amount, and that's it. It's backed by nothing. So that's the reason why we're seeing prices of everything going up. That's why we're seeing the price of this recently hit an all-time high, and that's usually a sign that everything is imploding. The monetary system is imploding, and they are now getting ready to usher in the new system in the form of CBDC. In theory, CBDC should not work. It should not succeed, because putting a pile of shit on top of a pile of shit creates more shit. But the only way CBDC, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, again, I present everything in facts, but I also present my opinion. My opinion is that the criminal system, they will create such chaos and such panic in the masses that the people, unfortunately, will comply and accept CBDC as a form of currency. When you do that, that's gonna create more tyranny. Just imagine if you want to buy whatever, a gun or something, and government will be able to see that transaction. And how would you like it if they say, oh, this guy buys too many guns, let's shut off his account? That's not freedom, that's pure tyranny. So real money, understand what real money is, because when you understand what real money is, you can then create that system outside of the evil monetary system that's been around for so long, that's been responsible for the death and destruction and suffering of so many people around the world. So I hope this makes sense. Oh, the other thing too is, and I don't want to call out anybody, but David Ramsey, he's a popular influencer in YouTube, and a lot of Christians and a lot of churches follow him. David Ramsey, he is very good at promoting personal finances, and I support him 100%. But as an economist, do your own diligence. Me personally, I don't listen to Dave Ramsey when it comes to economics, because he doesn't know jack shit. For a self-professed Christian, he actually hates these. He hates God's money, which makes no sense to me when you consider that when Jesus was born, he was given this, and Mary and Joseph used this to survive on when they fled to Egypt. And if you recall, when Jesus was betrayed, he was betrayed with 15 ounces, 30 pieces, 15 ounces of this. So if that doesn't give you, if that doesn't put into perspective just how important these are, then I'm afraid you are going to end up following government's fiat currency, the next one, which is CBDC. So I hope this helps you, and God bless and thank you. And with that, I am the Sovereign Goatman.